Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your boy VitruvianPhysique and we have episode 2 or installment 2 or I don't know. Okay, good job. We're 15 seconds in. I already made a mistake. This time around, we are going to do an overall pull workout that's back and biceps, but we're also going to sprinkle in a little bit of abs on top. And by a little bit, I actually mean lightweight, baby! So the way that it's going to work is we got 5 back exercises and then coupled with 5 abdominal exercises going one after the other. So we're going to do a back, abs, back, abs, back, abs. And we're pretty much going to go through that until we finished all 10 exercises. Then we're going to take a nice break, a solid 5 minutes, cool down a little bit, let your heart rate drop just a little bit, get a drink of water because afterwards we're doing it all over again. Again, same kind of structure as last time. The only main piece of equipment you need is some kind of pull-up bar. Now, it doesn't have to be a professional piece of equipment. It could be, I remember when I was a kid and I used to do bodyweight workouts in my basement in my house. It was an unfinished basement. We had like this big I-beam and I can kind of get my fingers like a few inches over that and I would do pull-ups and chin-ups on that. Honestly, whatever it is, if you can grab onto it and it could support your body weight, that's good. And finally, guys, the last thing before we do get right into it, there are 3 things kind of that I want you to keep in mind throughout this entire workout. Number 1 is maintain proper form. If you can get a few more reps out, but it reduces your pull-up form to something like this, like you're using every muscle group possible in your body besides the target, in this case your lats, your back, and your arms to a certain extent, yeah, it's not worth it. I'd rather you drop the rep number in your head a little bit, leave the ego at the door and actually keep decent form. It's not going to help you work out and probably just going to end up hurting yourself anyway. Number 2 is don't kill it with every single set. If, I were to hypothetically put a gun to your head and make you do as many pull-ups as possible and you get 15 and that's like 100% your true max, and then I tell you, the first exercise in this workout is pull-ups, I don't want to see you doing 15 because if you do 15 on your first one, that's great. What the hell are you going to do for every other subsequent exercise? What are you going to do when you got to do this all over again and you got to go into round 2? I'd rather you get close to failure, but maybe stop like 1 or 2 reps just shy of failure. Leave a little bit in the tank for your next exercises and definitely for round 2. And number 3 is we are going to be doing this relatively fast. Guys, this is not like a standard gym workout where you might do 3 sets of pull-ups, 3 sets of, deadlifts or rows or something. But in between that, you're sitting there getting a drink of water, you're going on your phone, you're really resting your body for a solid 3, 4, 5 minutes. No, this is not the case. When it comes to bodyweight workouts, because we can't maximize our intensity with additional weights or, using like all these fancy pieces of equipment, we need to make up for that decreased level of intensity in other ways. In this case, speeding up, minimizing our rest time. So I don't want to see you sitting here, resting 3 minutes in between each exercise, each rep, each set. And even then, I recommend 0 rest in between every time you do kind of like these doubles of back and abs. So you're going to do back, abs, rest 30 or 60 seconds. Again, back, abs, rest another 30 or 60 seconds. The only time you're going to be resting for a decent, interval is the 5-minute break in between rounds 1 and rounds 2. That's it. All right, guys, that's enough talk. Exercise number 1, let's go. Of course, we got pull-ups. And yes, I know it's kind of basic, but oh so effective. Overhand grip, medium width hand placement, around 6 inches wider than your shoulders, give or take, pulling right up until your head fully clears the bar and coming all the way back down during the eccentric. We are not doing any of that half rep bullshit that you see guys doing. Where they come like kind of halfway down and their arms never even fully extend? No, I don't want to see that. Remember guys, half reps, half muscle, but full bullshit. We're not doing that. Now, if you guys are watching this and you think, Igor, that's great and all, but I can't do pull-ups yet. Don't worry, we do have an alternative. All you need is a little bit of help, a little bit of assistance, which we're going to be getting, in our case, from a regular chair placed around 2 to 3 feet in front of you while you do this exercise. Now, as you do this, I want you to put 1 foot on the chair and press down with 1 leg and take some of that weight off of your back, essentially kind of turning this into a homemade alternative of the assisted pull-up machine you see at the gym. Now, you don't want to do this thing forever. You do want to, eventually graduate to the real thing. So work on this until you've built your back, your lats, your biceps up enough to the point where you can kind of do 5 or 6 regular bodyweight pull-ups with a decent form. And at that point, great, congratulations. You can now say goodbye to the chair. Next up, switching immediately to our first ab exercise, we got hanging L-sit. Now you can actually perform this one also on dip bars or even a chair if the armrests are sturdy enough. In my case, we're going to be doing hanging off the pull-up bar. The goal is to keep your legs straight out at a 90-degree angle with your body and hold it steady for as long as you can, or in our case, 20 seconds. Now, if you can't do the full 20, that's okay too. Feel free to break it up into 10 or even 5-second increments, taking tiny 2 to 3 second breaks in between. However, if this is still too difficult for you, another alternative is the hanging knee raise, where you bring your knees up towards your chest, almost like you're doing a set of crunches while hanging in midair. Next up, we got Commando Pullups. This one is kind of an interesting variation of the standard pull-up, and I kind of like it a lot because to me it feels similar to the seated cable row machine that you typically see in the gym. Also, it kind of feels a bit more like a horizontal pulling exercise as opposed to purely a vertical pull, which you usually get with standard pull-ups. However, this is kind of hard to do because unless you have access to equipment like dumbbells or barbells for, various types of rowing style exercises, you can't really do that. So in this case, you have to get a little bit creative and try exercises like this one. But for those of you watching this thinking, come on Igor, this is easy, quit being a little bitch, I want a challenge, you can try archer pull-ups. So this one is kind of a more difficult version of regular pull-ups, except this time you're kind of pulling your body up and over horizontally to one side of the bar at a time. This is a similar concept to archer push-ups, or as I call them in my last home workout video, side-to-side push-ups, where you're kind of emphasizing, one side of your body, one pec and one tricep at a time. Now, I do want to clarify that my form, to be perfectly honest, is not the best on this, and I fully admit that. It's because although I have some experience with calisthenics, I, like many of you watching, am primarily a gym-based bodybuilder. However, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, you can almost think of this as like one of the rare silver linings to this whole coronavirus debacle, because it's making us gym bros try something new, and in many cases, something we may have underestimated. Next up, we got abs scissor kicks. Two big things to focus on this one would be, number one, keeping your legs mostly straight the entire time, and number two, making sure to not let your feet drop to the ground in between kicks. I recommend around 30 reps in total for this one, but if you need a quick break, that's okay, take it. If you can't do all 30 reps in a row and you need small, 5 to 10 second breaks, that's fine. Whatever you need to do to keep going, and try your best to finish all 30 reps. Now, on the flip side, if you're kind of finding this a little easy and you're looking to challenge yourself a little bit, start taking small, kind of like 1 second pauses in between each of the kicks. This overall increases the total time under tension for the exercise, and for me personally, it probably makes the exercise like twice as hard. For our third back exercise, we got the inverse row. This one is pretty much trying to replicate a barbell row that you do in the gym, except instead of you rowing a weight towards your body, you're rowing your body towards the bar, or in my case, a desk. That's right, hashtag creativity, baby. Yeah! I feel like at this point, every bodybuilder trapped at home during quarantine has to either become MacGyver when it comes to working out in these weird, crazy ways, or say goodbye to their muscle. One thing to note with this one is that the further out you place your feet, the harder this exercise becomes. So again, if you're new to working out, or maybe you've got a high body weight and you need it to be a little bit easier, try bringing your feet closer towards your body and bending your knees a little bit, almost turning this into like sort of a seated pull-up. Next up, we got in and outs. I remember this one from P90X, like way back in the day in like 2005 or whenever. They had a bunch of ab exercises, but this one right here, this was my absolute favorite. In terms of form, the title pretty much speaks for itself. This is not an overly complicated exercise, but that doesn't mean it's not effective. This one is gonna make you burn. Again, just like with the ab scissors, you want to ensure your feet are elevated the entire time, and just like last time, we are aiming for 30 reps in total, but if you wanna make it a little bit harder, try elevating your arms straight up in the air over your body while you do your reps. For the fourth back exercise, we're going to do something a little bit different. So one of the problems with doing all these pull-up variations is that although they're great for hitting your lats, they're not as effective in stimulating other muscle groups in your back like your traps and your rear deltoids. That's where this exercise comes in, as it tries to mimic exercises you do for your middle traps and your rear deltoids, such as the reverse dumbbell fly or the reverse pec deck. A big thing to note is that when you're doing this exercise, you want to make sure what pushes your chest up is your elbows being driven down into the ground, not you simply doing an abdominal crunch. Your body likes to cheat, so you may feel the urge to kind of contract your abs and take some of that weight off of your elbows, but try your best to avoid doing that. You see all this stuff right here in your upper back which just like crunches up at the peak of this exercise? That is what we're targeting, and that is what we want to see. For the next exercise, we're going to be focusing a little bit more on our obliques as opposed to our abs, and this time around I'm giving you guys two options. The first one, and the harder one of the two, is called around the worlds. One big thing I want to note when doing this exercise is that ideally you want to keep your legs as straight as possible the entire time. Somewhat unlike what I am actually doing here, because I'm actually trying my best not to smash the mirror to my left, and therefore I have to kind of bend my knees a little bit more than what's optimal. This one is fairly challenging, so if you want something a little bit easier, a good alternative you can try would be the Russian twist, or Mason twist as some people call it. Again, similar to how you did the scissor kicks and the in and outs earlier in this workout, you want to make sure that you're trying to keep your legs pretty much like levitating 6 or so inches off the ground and relatively straight the entire time. In this case, around 30 to 40 reps would be an excellent rep range. However, if you can't do all 30 in a row, that's okay. Take small breaks and break it up into sets of 15, 10, 5. Hell, I don't care if you're doing like 2 reps at a time at the end and you're completely exhausted. Just do what you can and try your best to finish all 30. For our final back exercise, guys, we're ending with one of the basics. These are standard chin-ups. One thing I do want to mention is that you may have noticed there is no direct bicep work in this video, despite this video probably being called something like Ultimate Super At-Home Back Biceps and Abs Workout. Getting direct bicep isolation work is very challenging when working out at home, and at the same time, it's not necessary. Almost every back workout I've shown you guys today will still stimulate your biceps, it just does so in a somewhat indirect way, using them as a secondary muscle group or synergist, being used a bit more for additional force production in conjunction with your back muscles, or just contributing as a stabilizer muscle. And finally, guys, our last exercise, we got good old burpees, but with a little bit of a twist. Instead of doing a push-up at the bottom, you will be doing 2 mountain climbers, or you can call these knees to elbow, whatever this thing you see on screen is. The goal is to do 2 of these high kicks on both sides before getting up and finishing with a jump. And all of this entire kind of like move complex, this counts as a single rep. So yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of movements, and the goal here is speed. I don't want to see any half-assed jumps. I don't want to see you barely raising your knee a few inches. None of that bullshit. Go hard, go fast. This is the last exercise of the round, so finish strong and get that heart rate up. But guys, other than that, you are officially halfway. Again, we are doing 2 rounds of everything that you guys just watched. So if you just finished round 1, take about 5 minutes, get a drink of water, relax a bit, and then get your body ready to do it all over again. And by the way, guys, you will be fatigued for round 2, so do not be surprised if you can't hit the same rep numbers as you did your first time around, but that's okay. Still try your best to hit like 90% of what you did the first time. I don't want to see any of you getting a measly 5 reps on what you hit for 12 your first time around. That's it. That's the end of the workout. I just finished up. Took me like just under an hour or so. Either way, guys, that's it for me. Let me know if you give this workout a try. Let me know if you like it, if you want to see more. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. And if any of you guys are interested in, taking what I've discussed here and taking it a bit, one step further, link in the description box below for my programs and online coaching. We can kind of formulate a training plan in addition to a nutrition plan, which in reality is like 80% of the job. What we do in the gym, or in this case at home, that's important, but the stimulus to growth being training is great. But without the proper nutrition foundation, you're almost just kind of wasting your time. Either way, guys, that's it for me. So to all of you guys out there, stay home, stay safe, and yeah, just a few more months, or hopefully less, and we'll make it through this very weird time in all of our lives.